Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Today is going to be a little bit of a new segment on my channel. I am going to be calling this the War Room. So, I am a member of Crimson Null Kingdom, and being a member of Crimson Null Kingdom, I have an insight into the war between the Reds and Crimson Null and the Reds and Trimark. Now, I can only speak directly on what's going on between Crimson Null and Reds. So I don't know what's going on between Trimark and the Reds and Trimark and OP4S. And I can't explain as much as I do know about the whole situation. So before I get into the actual content of this video, I'd like to ask you to please leave a like or comment on my video and consider subscribing to my channel. And if you don't like the content, leave a dislike and a comment telling me where you've gone wrong. Now, I'm going to send this out as a special request to any OP4S or Red members who may end up watching this video. If you want to give me an interview and give me a little bit of information so that I can add it to a video to combat this whole situation, provided this war is still going on when you contact me, the whole situation that I'm going to explain is from the side of Crimson Null. Everything that we know, myself as a member, and what I have gotten from interviewing the leader of Crimson Null, lead writer. So I'm not going to actually give a full breakdown of the interview. I'm going to try and keep it as unbiased as possible. So basically giving an open point of view, but I am a Crimson Null member, so it might seem a little bit more favorable to Crimson Null. So here's exactly what I have on the whole situation. If you are an OP4S member and you do see this video, you can message me in game with my gamer tag Elementary72. At which point I will get a hold of you and get onto your Discord, or get a hold of you on Discord, and then we can have a message between each other and you can talk to me. I'm looking for leadership members if it's possible to get this whole interview going. So here's exactly what happened between Crimson Null and Reds. Now, they were the original two starters in this whole war process. So the first thing which happened was Crimson Null and Trimark made an agreement with OP4S as an entire coalition agreement. So Crimson Null were to occupy a certain area in Catch from the station FAT6P all the way to a certain gate to allow for a trade channel. Now, the trade channel is part of the strategy for these two alliances, and it won't be explained any further. I'm just going to say that that's what it is. So the next thing which happened was the agreement was made with OP4S, and OP4S agreed to leave this area to Trimark and Crimson Null, so they can occupy it and this would be their space. And OP4S would occupy the other regions within Catch. Now, the reason for these two agreements was to ensure that OP4S and Crimson Null and Trimark didn't end up in a war. And everything was going fine originally when the agreement was made. And it went through and they set up at FAT6P station. Following this, 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, I'm not exactly sure on the time frame, it's between 2 and 3 weeks ago, the Red Corporation from OP4S East set up in sector 3 jumps away from FAT6P. Now, here's something to know about the area around FAT6P. Within the region of Catch is a very rich Inquisitor and Scout ground. It also is rich in Dead Space encounters, and the Dead Space encounters are more rich in the dead areas of the sector of Catch. So overall, a lot of players were happy with what they had gotten from the agreement between OP4S and Crimson Null. So the thing was that where Crimson Null was situated, we had about one jump to all of the good sectors for fighting for gear from Inquisitors and Scouts, making it a profitable encounter for us, and we left enough dead space and Inquisitors for anybody else who wanted on the further outer regions of this entire location. So moving forward, Red from OP4S approached 3 jumps away from Crimson Null's base, and within a day or two, we noticed a major amount of hostility from the Reds. The Reds had come into the sectors and began attacking various members who were mining and ratting scouts and inquisitors. According to Reds, this was now OP4S territory under the control of Reds Corporation, and that they had complete control. And after attacking members of blue ships, they said that no blue was allowed to farm in inquisitors, scouts, or dead spaces. That means you're not allowed to touch it if you aren't Red Corporation. That includes their own members, because they said any blue who is found in that. So that means somebody else from the OP4S East was also fair game for this corporation, just showing how hostile they are towards their own friends and allies. The next thing which was stated by this corporation was the farming rights in the sectors belonged to Reds, and they came into FET6P, the base of Crimson Null, and said that this was their sector and that anybody caught farming in their zone would be subject to be attacked. And they did attack several miners, and these problems were going on in small little incursions and occasions happening every once in a while. Now, to counter it, the Trimark Alliance and Crimson Null Kingdom Alliance went to OP4S and began negotiations to get the Reds to stop this overly aggressive behavior and to possibly move them away from the region which was agreed to between OP4S and Crimson Null and Trimark. The meetings were held where Crimson Null had agreed to wait up and stay up at hours to accommodate the leadership from Reds. However, the Reds have not cooperated or agreed in any way to any terms, because the leadership from Reds hasn't been responding to anybody on Discord when it comes to the game. So that's just a breakdown on why this war is still going on and why there's so much about it that is unknown and why the red side of the story isn't being heard. So the next thing which happened over the next week and a half after this whole initial aggression was the Reds began to dial down their assaults. They stopped attacking so heavy, and the station was set up 3 jumps away from FET6P. So within this time, I was personally around in the area of FET6P during the next set of major engagements which happened, which is over 2 days. They engaged the first day against the miners, and then the second day they engaged against those who were ratting, and then they camped us out in our station. So here's what happened on the first day. Mining fleets were mining in the belt, and Reds decided to deploy a mining fleet to override and take away any resources from every member of Crimson Null. And Crimson Null didn't attack, nor did they assault any of these vessels who came in really aggressively, taking any resources from Crimson Null. Now, Crimson Null had arranged a situation with all of their players, including their PvE and PvP members, to help them gather some resources. And FET6P, as I said, is subject to a lot of traffic because it's one of the more traveled routes to get some resources. So within this area, they keep one ship for security on certain fleets when they know that they're heavy farmers. And after several engagements, the engaging after several engagements of stealing the resources by over farming whatever someone else is farming, a Red Alliance assault fleet entered the sector. Now, when they first entered in, we thought they were coming to rat the level 9 anomalies in the sector, but instead they came straight into the mining belts, and they began attacking every single one of Crimson Null's miners. And once all the miners were being assaulted, we heard the call and we fell back into the station. This is day 1 of their assault. Our members got together because we were a lot of PvE and PvP members. We bunched out in small fleets and we took them out and repelled the assault that they had pushed in. This is a counter assault. It wasn't the beginning of what we knew to be war. The next day, the Reds were not in our sector, and a ratting party was decided over a farming party on this day. So we jumped out one gate away from FET 6P, which is CNC. Now, it was a regular sector for us to farm, and we were keeping the base nice and high at around 6. And we were making sure that we farmed around it to encourage the spawns of Inquisitors and Scouts. Now, originally in the sector was a Scout, which the Reds had farmed and they had completed their initial farming of it, and it had disappeared from the list of available anomalies. At which point, our ratting party continued to rat the level 6 mediums and larges in the system just to gain up some quick ISK. At this point, there was only one red left in the sector, and we gave a call for all of our members to get ready to jump into the Inquisitor and Scout that had spawned from our constant hitting of the level 6 Scout, the level 6 anomalies. So now we had a Scout and an Inquisitor, and we decided to jump into the Scout. And as we jumped into these Scouts and Inquisitors, so did a fleet of Red arrive in the sector, and they arrived to the same encounters that we were jumping in, and they weren't behaving friendly at all. They weren't attacking the enemy vessels within the Scout, they were attacking our ships. At which point the entire ratting fleet had suffered a loss of about 2 vessels, and we had fallen back to the station, reporting the attack from an ally on us to our leadership. Now, this for me is a GTM 2 plus. We went to bed soon after this whole. I went to bed soon after this whole incident, and the next day, we found that the station had been camped by Reds. Over 100 members of Reds were in the sector, holding on to the station, camping us in, killing anybody who tried to undock. Even though they were attempting this, several members had managed to get out of the sector using small ships or using the capsules. Now, once we had gotten out, a lot of us had regrouped at another anonymous location. I'm not going to give it away. And what we did at this anonymous location was we set up a whole load of vessels to go and retake our sector. This is the point at which the Trimark Crimson Null push was made to liberate FET 6P, and the point at which Red called in their allies to help them at their station. Now, this whole incident is occurring within a matter of about 8 hours, what I'm describing at this point. Trimark got together a fleet of 200 of their members. They gathered up and were ready. Now, majority of the players left in FAT 6P were our PvP and PvE members. They were boxed in more heavily after several of us escaped, because they now had a gate camp on both entrances to the sector, and they had a camp on the dock. So if anybody tried to undock, they were instantly getting us destroyed. And they had several fleets holding the dock instead of just one fleet trying to wipe us out the moment we came out of the dock. So the whole situation was unfolding, and a whole lot of us had gathered up with Trimark, and a fleet of about 350 members started pushing through the gates towards FET 6P. We encountered several gate camps which were easily overtaken and destroyed, and then we entered into FET 6P itself. The fight was rapid and quick. The members of Red fell very fast within FET 6P. They were overtaken by overwhelming force, and that pushed them out of the sector. However, they did leave a small fleet of stabbers using the exploit with the tracking computers to get 150 kilometers on the dock. So they were so far away that nobody could undock and attack them. So they continuously assaulted the dock itself. And they were also using another exploit where they were disappearing from the grid which we were on by drifting somewhere in the space. Now, we don't know exactly where we didn't know exactly where it was that they were managing to drift through. So we couldn't counter them and attack them or set up a ambush for them when they came back because they were jumping at various points and we didn't know how they were doing it. Okay, we did know that they had stealth members stationed at certain points, but we didn't know exactly where they were because they were in stealth. So, following this whole situation, uh, most of Crimson now approached with Trimark to assault the headquarters for OP4 for not OP4S for Red, sorry, for Reds from OP4S. So they went straight after the station, which was 3 jumps away. Now the Reds, knowing what they had done, had called in for reinforcements, and this is where the war had really started to boil down to the heavy fighting. And the Reds kept attacking the invaders in their sector. Now I'm using it in a more liberal sense as the invaders being Crimson Null and Trimark, as they approached in to get to the station to destroy it and get them out of the region. The Reds continued to fight back and they managed to suppress the force from Trimark and Crimson Null in the sector, defeating them, forcing them to retreat for the day. Now, at the base for Crimson Null, 11 ships were still stationed outside the station, attacking anybody who attempted to undock. Now, for me, it reached somewhere near the point of 2 a.m. and I went to bed. However, I was informed that an hour later, we had finally managed to destroy that fleet thanks to several stealth fighters from our corp who had situated themselves in such a way that we could jump to the same locations they were jumping to and take them out the moment we had the chance. And we had succeeded in taking them out and we had liberated our dock. However, they keep approaching with fleets to dock campus or spawn campus every time that the day refreshes because most of our members are in a certain time zone and their members are in a different time zone. So they take advantage of the dead space, the dead time within our corporation where we aren't so active to try and retake the dock. Okay, so going forward from there, the whole engagement is still going on. And these are the words of lead writer from the corporation Crimson Now. If you attack us, we will attack back and we will fight till we either win or are totally destroyed. He will not give up and he will not go and start an unnecessary fight. He is still open for peaceful negotiations. If Red are willing to give up their claim and call in honorable and finally try to show some respect for who their allies were, they can have peace and they can leave the area peacefully. But this isn't looking like it's going to happen. It looks like the war is going to progress till the station is destroyed and until Reds are totally obliterated or until Reds cause more problem within OP4S and OP4S kick them out. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is the Reds are extremely aggressive. As stated by their rules, they will attack any blue. That means whether you're from OP4S or whether you are from Crimson Null or Trimark, if you enter into the region which they claim is theirs, they will attack you. And that is the way that they play. And they don't play fair, they don't play nice, they don't play clean. They go into where you're situated and they take over. Now, that is my bias, not lead writers. My bias on them is they come into where you are and take what they want. Now, that is just what I am saying on the Reds. I am willing to hear their side of the story and push it through into a video, making a complete discussion in another war room video while this war is still going on. I'm also open to hear OP4S's response and what they're going to do about the unresponsive, non-obedient sector within their non-obedient factor within their alliance. Whether they're going to keep them on or whether they're going to kick them out and attack them themselves, because it's something that does happen within alliances. If a corporation becomes too wild and too uncontrollable, there is the tendency to actually destroy them to save face, because they can actually cause a problem for OP4S overall. attacking every single allied member. Eventually, OP4S will be in a war with every single alliance, corporation, and who knows? Maybe OP4S will have reason to think for their downfall if they allow them to keep in the alliance. They may have to kick them out or kick out OP4S East. You don't know what's going to go on. You don't know what's going to happen. But I'm looking forward to hear what OP4S and the Reds have to say. I might even try to get a hold of the leader of the Trimark Alliance and see what he has to say. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.